Hello to all students. In this video lecture, we are going to discuss navigation and orientation in birds. As you know that different species, as 40% of the species of the bird, this usually migrate seasonally from their breeding areas to non-breeding areas due to some extreme weather conditions. The question is how birds know that where they are going to go and then how they're gonna come back to their original position. For that purpose, they use navigation system which is built in their body, in their brain. So there are two types of navigation system which are recognized. Number one, route-based navigation. During route-based navigation system, birds usually keep track of landmarks. For example, a tree, a mountain, a river, a building, a tall tower, or etc. So they keep remembering those landmarks, and when they going to migrate back to their original position, they're gonna use those landmarks to come back to their home. During this type of navigation, they usually use visual and auditory senses, and sometimes can also be used olfactory senses. During this type of navigation, birds use lenses which are present in their eyes, and those lenses are transparent for ultraviolet radiation. So by the help of sunlight, these birds can fly towards east, west, north, south. They know where the east is, where the sun is rising. They know how there is noon. They know it is the time of evening. Even in the dark, they can detect their path, their route towards migration point. Photoreceptors present in their eyes orient using sunlight, and they can detect morning, noon and evening times. They usually use their senses to determine the direction of migration. Either it is east, west, north and south. Even they can determine northeast, northwest, southwest and southeast. So they can detect multiple direction by using different type of senses, photoreceptors present in their body. Even in the dark, when there is a night, they use celestial cues to navigate their pathway. They use stars, for example, North Star. They take help from the North Star to determine the direction of migration. Magnetic compass also used to detect Earth's magnetic field. A recent studies has been shown that bird's brain contains small magnetic particles which orient birds towards the magnetic field of the earth, with help of which they can detect different directions present on their route of migration. Stars are used to orient in dark. As I mentioned earlier, during the night period, birds use different types of stars to navigate through the dark on the migration route. The second type of navigation is location-based navigation. During location-based navigation, birds establish direction of destinations. During this process, they usually use sun compass, which is sunlight, celestial cues like stars, and Earth's magnetic field. As you know that in the past and even today in some areas, pigeons, home pigeons, are used for conveying secret messages to different areas. Pigeon take a message, fly towards a certain destination. After conveying message, it comes back towards original destination. So how is that possible? So it is a very complicated process which need a lot of research, and different experiments are performed on the flights of the birds, how these birds navigate. Secondly, usually birds migrate from seasonal movement. By migration is the seasonal movement from one area which is a breeding area to a non-breeding area. To do migration and to travel long distance, thousands of kilometers from one area to another area, they must need a built-in mechanism, navigation mechanism, so that they cannot be strayed. So for that purpose, they use different kind of landmarks which are coming on their way during migration process. They also use solar cues like sunlight, which is present in the morning, which is present in the evening, which is present in the noon. So they detect the sunlight and they can determine the direction by using the sunlight. They also use stellar cues like stars which are present on the skies during the night time, because most of the birds, some species of the birds, they migrate and fly even night time. Geomagnetic cues also, as I mentioned earlier, a bird's brain contain magnetic particles which are oriented according to the magnetic field of the earth. So they can use those particles as a compass and determine the direction of their migration. At the same time, they also use odor, which is olfactory senses, sounds and visual cues to fly safely towards their destination. And after after a long period of stay in the non-breeding area, when they are going to come back to their original position, they use same kind of navigation pattern to arrive safely on their homeland. And that's all for today. See you in the next lecture.